If you want to improve your firelighting skills in relation to solar ignition, i.e. the sun, then keep watching. 2 years ago I came to these very woods and recorded a getting started with solar ignition video. Once I got home and I was editing and uploading that video, I was kicking myself because with the benefit of hindsight, there were several other materials that I really wanted to feature in that video. I promised myself that I would do a follow-up video at some point. So here we are, 2 years later, admittedly, with those materials, thankfully with the sun, and I want to share with you part 2 of that getting started with solar ignition. If you're keen to maximise your outdoor time by improving your bushcraft and outdoor skills, then hit that subscribe button and keep watching. Cheers. My first material that I'm going to use for this is a piece of Daldinia Concentrica, or King Alfred's cakes, or coal fungus, or cramp balls. Goes by a range of different local names, but Daldinia Concentrica is the scientific name for this piece of fungus. I'm going to attempt to use that in conjunction with a credit card sized Fresnel lens, which is nothing more than a plastic magnifying glass really that helps to focus the light onto the coal fungus, onto the Daldinia Concentrica, and hopefully then I can blow it into flame. Let's give this a try. Trick as always is to get that, there we go. Don't know if you can see that on the camera, really hope you can, because I was quite impressed with myself there. It's smoking away. I'm going to put the Fresnel lens down. I'm just going to hold it slightly closer to the camera and lightly blow on it so that if you're not seeing the wisps of smoke now, you can definitely see the burning ember. There you go. I'm sure you can pick that up there. So let's get that into a bird's nest and let's try and blow it into flame. There we have it. That took a lot longer to blow into flame than I kind of hoped it would, but the end result is there. Next up I have a piece of Amadou tinder from Fomentarius. Escapes me what the more common name is for this tinder, but this has been processed down. It feels like a suede, a velvety suede. I believe these are very, very good for solar ignition, so I'm going to pop that inside the bird's nest. I must admit I don't have much bird's nest material with me today, and I don't want to be taking stuff just for the purposes of a video, so it may be that I'm not able to blow it into flame because of the very small bird's nests I've got, but what I'm hoping to demonstrate is that I am able to use solar ignition to turn that into an ember, and as you've just seen with the Daldinia Concentrica, the King Alfred's cakes, it is then possible to blow into a flame, but I am running out of bird's nest material quite quickly. Let's pop that in there. This time around I'm not going to use a Fresnel lens, I'm going to use a good old-fashioned silver compass, and in particular the magnifying lens on the compass. Not everybody has a Fresnel lens, not everybody maybe wants to invest in one, but I would imagine more people, I hope, have a compass. Let me expose some of the really dry, fluffy material on the edges. Looks like it will catch quicker. This is interesting. Now the sun's just brightening up there. You probably can't pick it up on the camera because of the angle up, and then the sun's gone in again. Just roughing this up a little more with my fingernail just to expose some of the hair-like structure of this. There we go. I've used Amadou at home with ferro rod and it caught immediately. Wonderful. First strike, a few sparks landed, every single one of them took immediately. But clearly not as straightforward with solar ignition, which is interesting to know because I thought it might be. Let me give this a few more seconds and I'm going to switch out to the Fresnel lens. This video today isn't really about the compass versus the Fresnel lens, it's just about solar ignition. I just wanted to show some different options for capturing those sun rays. So let's just put that to one side. Let's bring out the Fresnel lens. The angle right. Sun's constantly moving across, so the angle changes quite quickly. I'm really surprised by this. I don't know why. I just imagine that this would catch, because the speed and the fierceness at which it burns, the heat at which it burns with a ferro rod, I imagine the same. I don't know why. Again, there's no logic to make that. Just there we go, and there we went. It has just caught. I'm going to leave the lens there a little longer. Hopefully you can pick it up on camera. It smells lovely. Going to hold it up to camera, blow on it. You can see that ember there. I'm going to place the other piece of Amadou onto it in the hope that, wow, that's caught very quickly, the second piece. It's going to nurture that along so it consolidates. Both pieces have caught now, so remember what I said about the bird's nest tinder bundle. This is by far from ideal, way too small, but I don't want to be harvesting stuff just for the sake of this, really. So let's see what I can get from this. If not, at least you've seen the Amadou catch with solar ignition. Well, it's almost burnt through this very small tinder bundle, as I expected it would. It's not really that concerned about that. I'm sure anybody familiar with the concept of tinder bundles would be able to spot by now. If this were a larger tinder bundle, I would have much more bird's nest to play with and a much greater likelihood of turning that from an ember into flame. But I'm not going to labour the point. You've seen it is possible using solar ignition to be able to use Amadou, Fomes, Fomentarius to capture that sun's rays, turn that into an ember, and then hopefully you've got a better source of bird's nest tinder material than I've got, and you'll be able to affect that into flame. Next up is some very simple charwood, created in exactly the same way that you would create char cloth, but instead of putting cloth into the tin, I've just placed some dead, dry, punky type wood, the sort that feels a little bit like polystyrene when you crumble it under your fingers. I've just created that. I've just turned that into some char wood rather than char cloth. had real success with this approach in the past using a ferro rod, but I want to see today how it takes the sun's rays. I'm keeping it on this tin lid here just because it's quite light in nature and has a habit of sort of blowing around even in the slight breeze. So I've put it on here just to try and keep it in one place. I'm going to use a compass this time around, just at the point where the sun dips behind another piece of foliage. Nice small pinprick of light. It would be quite easy for me to sort of wait until the sun was in the perfect condition to do this, but I'm almost trying to show this in real time, record one clip after another, because the sun's not always in the perfect condition. It might be out, it might be a beautiful blue sky, but it might just be moving through some overhead cover, some branches, some foliage, and making it less than ideal. So I kind of want to capture that whilst the sun is great when it's out and you've got the materials, it's still not necessarily a done deal. So I'm going to put the compass to one side. I'm going to break out the Fresnel lens again, see if we have better success with this. I can almost tell without even looking up whether the sun is, crikey, that's bright, so that's a really good, look at that. All the time I had the compass held there, I was struggling to get anything to take. Pick the Fresnel lens up and the sun came out, I think more importantly. And if I just put the Fresnel lens down now and bring this up to camera, I just blow on that, keep it in shot. You can see that reddy orange glow, I hope, and clearly the whiteness as it's burning off. Done a very simple job to put the other piece of charwood onto that. And that takes very, very quickly. So again, success with the sun's rays. Once again through the Fresnel lens. Not having a lot of joy with the compass today, but it could just be timings, as when I pick the compass up, just happens to be the time when the sun dips behind some overhead foliage. So charwood, we know that now takes solar ignition very well, and as I've already mentioned, I don't have the bird's nest material in the quantities to do this justice today, so for now I just want to show you that it is possible to at least get an ember. And assuming you've got the skill set and the right amount of material in the right condition, then it's a done deal blowing that into flames. Next up, I have some jute cord, which at one end, the business end, I've started to unravel the various plies that make up the cordage. Then when I've unravelled those plies, I'm actually starting to fluff it up, and you'll notice it becomes very, very hair-like, very, very fine, very fibrous, very hair-like in nature. In fact, I would say some of those are even possibly finer than human hairs. So I'm just roughing those up, buffing them up, pulling them apart, exposing the fibres that make up the plies that make up the cordage into a little bundle like that. Now I must admit, in the past I have attempted this with solar ignition in the past and have been unsuccessful. That's all I've attempted it with. So today it's kind of a second time lucky. Maybe it just won't take, maybe the nature of this and the qualities and properties of this do not lend itself to solar ignition, Let's find out. Let's have another attempt today. Well, the sun is certainly nice and bright when it comes through that foliage above me. I mean, it's very bright now. If I was applying this to char cloth or to the Daldinia Concentrica coal fungus, it would have caught by now without a doubt. I would be able to see wisps of smoke coming off. But at the moment, nothing. Because it's very fibrous, unlike the other material that has been denser, even though the Amadou was fibrous, it was quite a dense fibre. This is fibrous and not dense. It's, you know, I think I'm shining the light onto a certain spot, but actually 75% of that light might be shining not onto the hair-like material, but through it, because it is so fine. Wow, that is a good blast of sun there. Just play around with the angle, make sure I'm maximising the angle. I've got the dot as small as I can. Again, it's very hard to see the size of the dot because the hair like structure displaces it. It's not all falling on one spot, so it's very hard to see if I'm doing the best I can with the lens. So I'm moving it around every now and then just to see if I can change the angle at all. So this is interesting. Now I doubt you can see this, but it has been darkened. I mean, it's hard for me to see unless I get the angle just right, so I doubt you can, but that has been darkened. But it hasn't cut, it hasn't charred, it's almost like it's been, when you see something that's had some dark smoke blown onto it, you can see that it itself hasn't been burnt, but that it's smoke that's blown onto it, but no heat in it. Very interesting. So this is just replicating what I discovered last time, which was I couldn't ignite jute twine via solar ignition then, and I'm not having much joy with it now, but that's okay, because maybe it just won't. Maybe it's not a thing, unlike the other examples I've shown in this video and the last one. Aha! Ooh, I might eat my words here. Yeah, pass me a napkin. I really hope you can pick that up. Really hope you can pick that up. But it is starting to char, it is starting to smoke. And I watch this on playback when I get home and edit it. If you can't see that smoke coming off, I'll be absolutely gutted, because it now seems to have gone, as the sun does. Come on, come back. Well, even if I can't recapture that, I am quite pleased that I saw it. It did smoke, it has charred. If this doesn't catch, I will hold it up to the lens again, hopefully let you see how it is definitely charred now. Just not gone anywhere. Need another good blast of sun coming over my left shoulder. Got ants crawling over my right arm here, but I don't move. So I bugger the angle up that I need. Okay. Well, that's a shame, but in some ways there's still a win in here, because I'd not managed to get it to the smoking stage before, which I just did. So let me hold this up. I'm hoping now, if I just peel that open, I'm hoping that you can pick up in there that black charred area where the smoke was coming from. So it did catch, it did smoke. It didn't go much further than that, admittedly, but it's further than I've got before. So a minor tick in the box there for jute twine plus solar ignition. At the beginning of this video, I talked about the Introduction to Solar Navigation Part 1 video that I recorded a couple of years ago. If you're interested in checking that out and seeing what materials I used back then and my success with them, then there's a video appearing in this corner of the screen right now. Why not head over there to check out Part 1 to this Part 2 video. If you're not yet a subscriber, it'd be great if you could hit that button so you don't miss out on future videos of mine. And if you've liked this video, if you've enjoyed it, if it's given you an inspiration, even just to get into the backyard and experiment with some solar ignition, then please do give it a thumbs up. I'll see you in my next video very soon. Stay safe, folks.